Welcome to our web exclusive. I'm Mike Montecalvo along with Eyewitness News analyst Lieutenant General Reginald Centracchio. General, the President's State of the Union address last night, we're going to get to bits and pieces of it. I know you watched it, your overall reaction to it.
Well, I think I was really not so much impressed with what he said, with the exception of a couple of areas as it relates to his recognizing the veteran. But he said nothing more than he's been saying for many times before this. My major concern had much to do with his constant reminder that he had executive authority, bypassing the Congress. To me, that's almost on the abuse of his executive power. So that was a concern to me.
Well, what you're talking about right there is upping the minimum wage to $10.10 an hour. That's for new federal workers, new contract workers. He wants Congress to raise the minimum wage for everyone else.
That's correct. But the executive order and executive power he has, this is one instance of it. But previously, he's exercised that too many times, in my opinion, circumventing the Congress. Now, he blames the Congress because they're not cooperating on it. At the same time, it's a scary proposition to know that a president can, in fact, circumvent the Congress by using executive orders. That's not the way the Constitution was designed, and I fear that.
Now, this is an important year because there are 6 Senate seats up for grabs. If the Republicans can grab those, they will take control of the Senate. Do you think they will? Because he called about, let's do a call for action. Let's get together and work together this year. With that in mind, those 6 seats up for grabs, do you think they'll work together?
Well, this is a prime example of what I said earlier. If you ask Congress to work with you, and at the same time you're saying, I don't need you because I can use executive power, it doesn't bode well as far as asking to work together. So it's somewhat of a dichotomy. He's saying something different when he says it and then says something else to ask the Congress to work with him. They just don't match.
Towards the end of the speech, he did talk about the troops in Afghanistan. He said some would stay there past 2014. That would be for a training mission. But, you know, President Karzai has to sign off on that in Afghanistan. He has not done that yet.
That's correct. Now, he talked about staying there to train the Afghan Army security forces, as well as work with counterinsurgency programs within Afghanistan, providing Karzai signs an agreement to that effect. And I think the big sticking point is who has control and authority over the American soldiers should something go wrong in reference to them committing a crime, if you will.
Do we have some local troops still there?
Yeah, we do. We have a few troops between Kuwait as well as Afghanistan working on special operations in support of the eventual pullout of U.S. and NATO troops.
He also talked about negotiations to limit Iran's nuclear program. He did acknowledge that this is going to be difficult.
He did, and once again, it has much to do with if you lift sanctions, you would hope that would get him to the table to talk about it in sincerity. But to date, that has not happened. So I think we're in between somewhat of a dilemma as to whether, in fact, we lift more sanctions and continue to talk. If we see progress, that's a good thing. If we see no progress, those sanctions have to go back in because eventually they will go back to refining uranium and having the possibility of developing a nuclear weapon.
You know, General, over the years, we've seen so many special guests and emotional stories that a president would talk about. Last night could have been one of the most emotional, where Sergeant First Class Corey Remsburg was recognized. 10 deployments to Afghanistan. On his 10th one, he was hit by an IED, had been in a coma for months. He's still blind in one eye. The president recognized him for his service. When you saw him stand up, you being a soldier, what did you think?
Yeah, you know, I had tremendous feeling in my heart, not only for him, but thousands of other soldiers who go through something similar, and their families. It just felt good to be able to have him recognized, and certainly you look at the response from the Congress itself, and there was well over two good minutes of ovation when they came up and recognized him. So the point being that he's representative of many thousands of other kids in similar circumstances, and it felt good to see him recognized in that way.
And it's recognized for the key sacrifices that they make.
Exactly. In his particular case, 10 deployments is an awful high number. He was a Ranger. That discipline really calls for more deployments in some cases. But I think, once again, it just demonstrates that more deployments, not only for the Guard and Reserve, but the active Army also sees a high number of deployments.
All right, General Centracchio, as always, thank you for thoughts, and thank you for watching.